this is Kavita Kapoor Khalsa, and we are here on Exposé, Marriage No Marriage with Rüdrani Devi, and she is unique and she is different, and every word of her is going to mesmerize you because she's not just Rüdrani Devi, she is also a performer, she's an entertainer, and she is an access consciousness facilitator. She does right voice for you classes, and she does relationship different classes as well, and we'll get to know what that is. But I would like you to know she's a shaman when she was born, and she has those intuitive capacities. So she's done healing, and she's into vibrational healing as well, and she's based in USA at this point of time. We'll talk more about it, where she is. Nashville is where she's currently based. And so Rudrani has 2 specialty access consciousness classes as well, which is Choosing Happiness Book Club as an introduction to access consciousness, and tapping into the whispers of creative writing about using the tools of access consciousness to co-create, publish work, and of course, well as social media. You can find her because her name is so unique, and you will be surprised that she is not an Indian. It's just the name that she carries. And let's get to hear it from her as to what all she can add and what kind of joy can she add to your life. But to begin with, today's topic is, do relationships fail us, or do we fail in relationships? And the whole thing is that let's get to hear it from her, because this is the topic that I thought when I really connected energetically with her, and somebody said, why don't you invite Rüdrani Devi to your show? And I was like, yeah, sure. Let's do something different. And relationship done different. So this is a different kind of a relationship. So here we are. Thank you so much, Rüdrani, for acknowledging and being here and accepting to coming on my show. Welcome.
I am so delighted to be invited. I'm smiling so hard, my cheeks already hurt, because just watching you, how exuberant you be with your life and your living. It's gorgeous. Thank you.
And just before we started off with this, and you were saying you're not an Indian. Oh, what? I mean, I really thought you were Indian. So how did you get this name called Rüdrani Devi? It's so powerful. First, let me tell you, such a powerful name. When you say Devi, Devi is a goddess, okay, in India. And we're praying to the goddess. You're a Devi, okay? And Rudrani is like, Rudra Avatar is like that anger thing that you can actually destroy and uncreate, which you're currently doing with access consciousness. What's the story behind your name?
That's so funny, because really and truly, I didn't go searching out for this name. I went on a silent retreat in Monroe, New York, and the woman guru that was there, he turned to me and said, my teacher's on the other side, but he has a message for you. Are you ready? And I thought, I don't know if I'm ready. I said, what is it going to look like? And she says, he has a different name for you, because he says the name you have now is not appropriate for what you came here to do. Okay. And I have a lineage of shamanism in my family background already from my mother's side of the family. Her grandmother and great-grandmother used to channel for the Pope and do automatic writing.
Wow.
They're Italian lineage, so I'm 100% Italian. But here I'm in Monroe, New York, and I thought, okay, I've got to know what this name is. And she's about 4'10", and she's looking up at me and going, "You're a Rüdrani Devi." And I could have sworn something came out of her, because the minute she said it and pointed at me, my whole body just started shaking in recognition. And
wow.
and that's been the name I've been using since. And different doors and possibilities opened for me the moment that I claimed this name.
Yes, and it does, and your original name is something different, because that's Italian name, right?
It's a very long name. Do you want to hear it? It's very long. Andreina Gaetana Fatima Barragona Spina.
Okay, I like Rüdrani Devi. That's easier.
Most of my friends just call me Ru, so by all means, you can call me Ru.
I call you Ru on this show for easy, because Rüdrani Devi is like a lot of power, which is great. But Ru sounds cute and nice. So
don't let it fool you.
So I just want to know. Okay, so when you heard this topic, what was your reaction? Like, do relationships fail us, or do we fail in relationships?
Well, I had to laugh because this is an either or situation, and where's the choice? You have choice A or choice B, and what if there was something else completely available to choose? So, but this reality, it basically follows those two parameters mostly,
Yeah.
So I can understand why that would be a topic that people would be interested in. But I would take it one step further and say, do we fail us? Because if we're not willing to be there for ourselves first in relationship,
Yeah.
how available for others?
So no, if I
So
have to
I
ask,
relationship. Oh no,
no,
go ahead.
so I would like to ask, what are the judgments that come with failure, so-called failure in this reality? What are the kind of judgments? Suppose your partner leaves you or your husband leaves you. What are the judgments that come along with that?
It's very interesting that you use the word failure, because sometimes some of the worst things that happen in your world, in your life, are a true gift. And I'll use myself as an example. My ex-husband, we were not married for very long, actually, maybe 6 years, when he told me that he was leaving me. And he basically had started a family with another woman. So it made perfect sense. And I thought, well, I don't see how I failed the relationship if he's starting a family with someone else. In this reality, at least in the US, he's the failure, because he did not, he left the marriage and the
Yeah.
marriage was still happening. So for me, it was a true gift, because in my interesting point of view, it was a bad marriage.
But what prompted
So it was a gift.
what just happened that he walked out? Because I mean, if you're open to it, because
Yes.
somebody told me that you were in Mumbai and you were stuck in the riots out there and something happened. What's it all about? If you could just talk
Yeah.
about.
Absolutely. It makes sense if I tell the story. So here's the story. It goes like this. I'd been following a guru in the States that had followed Paramahansa Muktananda, and he was one of his devotees. And so he had put an ashram in Virginia, which I had been dutifully going to 4 or 5 times a year for silent retreats. And he had taken a pilgrimage to India with a couple of his people at the ashram, and then decided to create an event for us. So there were 40 or so of us that went on this meditation retreat, and it was amazing. I'd always wanted to go to India, and this was Bombay. Well, and I was there when the terrorist attacks happened. In fact, we were the second place. I was in the second place that was hit. It was first the train station, and then the Oberoi Hotel. And there were 2 gunmen that came in, looked like children, with all this arsenal on them. And we were having dinner. It was the end of the day. We'd been going to ashrams and chanting with Brahmin priests, which was amazing. I mean, it was a really beautiful day. It went from this expansive world to all of a sudden my life was ending. And I got hit by 2 bullets. One shattered my right femur, and I nearly bled out. And the other one took out my right tricep. And then I had one neck. And so my neck was out like this. They eventually had to put a tube in so I could breathe. And I lost so much blood that I kept passing it in and out of my body. Well, needless to say, it's a trip my husband did not want me to take. And I almost died several times. I was in emergency or, the critical care for 2 weeks before they could patronize me back into the States. Was told I'd never walk again. And one day my husband was like, I didn't sign up for this. This isn't fair to me. When are you going to heal? When are you going to learn to walk again? When are you going to start working again? Because I was the breadwinner. As a healer, I was making more money than he was, and he worked for television.
Oh, right.
So that's how we met. I was
What a fake
the film
reality.
producer. That's how we initially met.
Yeah, television is a fake reality.
So, but it's an interesting choice. It paid some bills, whatever. But needless to say, he left. And then I soon found out that he had a girlfriend during my recovery time. A year had passed from India to when he left, and was starting a family with her. So she was a true gift for me. I was so glad that he took him off my hands, because it was such an
So basically,
abusive relationship.
relationship, and he came and told you that, okay, we're not in it anymore, right? Because
He basically said, I didn't sign up for this, you not walking, me having to do all the work. And I asked him, I said, do you want to go to a therapist? And he goes, no, I'm tired of doing the work. And we had gone one time when I was freshly back in the States and in a wheelchair. And he liked to parade me around in the wheelchair as the perfect husband. But then when we were home, he would yell at me and say, why can't you do something? And I would try to do the laundry from a wheelchair. And I would try to cook meals. I was doing everything I could. And I had physical therapy 3 times a week. So it was a full-time job just to heal, you know? And as soon as we went through all of my savings, that's when he left.
wow.
And I realized how powerful I was because I was able to work my way out of it, you know?
So it was easy way out for you because you already were done with him, right?
Well, I would have probably tried to make it work because that's what this reality tells us to do. But when he told me that he was leaving, it was the strangest feeling. I felt so relieved.
Wow.
And I was able at that point to truly begin my healing process. I didn't have someone yelling in my ear telling me how awful I was. You know?
Yeah. So and then the doctors who said that you
I'm
can't,
so grateful to her.
no, but the doctors who said that you can't walk again and you actually created a different reality. Talk about that.
Yes, well, I had already had some of the tools of access to begin with, and there were few modalities. There weren't as many as there are now, but I also could talk to the other side. I was channeler and all this, and I would ask, what herbs do I need to take? What processes do I need to be facilitating? And I had an ultrasound machine that I was able to purchase and work on my leg. I had sauna, and I had all these homeopathics and different remedies. And don't get me wrong, I went to real doctors also. I mean, my leg is shattered and they put it in a prosthesis until the bones could regrow, which took almost 2 years. And then they had to remove my kneecap and put it back on the right way because when I got dragged, it got pulled apart. And somehow I just kept talking to the nerves and whatnot. And eventually I was able to be weight bearing. And I decided, okay, I'm going to run the Boston Marathon. I was training for it when I got shot. I'm going to run it. And I had run 9 before. So this was my bucket list marathon. And I asked my trainer, would you train me? And he said, yeah, even though in his head, he thought she'll never be able to do it. And then right after my doctor let me go, he started training me, and Adidas heard my story, and they sell sports clothes and things. And they gave me a hard luck pass. And it was my worst time. It took me 5 hours to run it. And I was one of these people that could run a race in 3 hours, 40 minutes. And that's considered fast. So,
But that's okay.
That's
So,
okay. Yes.
half marathon in little less than 3 hours, and I thought I was good at it because I could complete the marathon. You know, it's not about how long you take, as long as you complete it. And we human eyes are not interested in completing something. So you
I
complete
know,
it.
it's true.
So amazing. That's so cool.
One foot in front of the other, sister, and I got there, you know? I don't know how I did it either. Determination.
An inspiration. What an
I can't do something.
amazing. I mean, you're such an inspiration for people. So, I would like to ask you that you actually, whatever the doctors in India would have said that you may not be able to walk again, you changed that too. That's amazing.
Oh my gosh, I have to share this one piece with you. Well, when they were getting ready to put me under, I was in so much pain that they couldn't move me from the bed to the actual surgical, where they were going to do the surgery on the table. And I told them, well, why don't you gas me here and then put me on the table? And he goes, oh, that's a very good idea. And then he says, well, I want you to know that the bullet is lodged to your femoral artery, so you may not wake up. If it's punctured it, you will bleed out in seconds. There's nothing we can do. And they'd never seen a gunshot wound before. They'd seen knifing and things like that. And he said, is there anybody you need to talk to? And I said, yeah, I should call my husband. So I gave him the number. He dialed him, and I told him, I'm getting ready to go under. I love you. I don't know if I will talk to you again. And then I said goodbye, and they put me under, and then naturally, you're talking to me now. I did wake up later, and when I spoke to him, he goes, yes, after the surgery, the doctor called and said, we removed the bullet, and he hung up. So he knew I was still alive. Very strange. So yeah.
So, okay, no, that gets me to my next question. When you, that is only if you consider that we have failed in a relationship. How do you think that fear overpowers us to get into a new relationship or go to a, create something different because we're so, we're taken over by the fear of failure in this reality?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. For me, it was very hard for me to even look at another man after I was so vulnerable, but I wasn't to be seen as vulnerable. So I had to stiff upper lip, but I'm strong and I don't need a man and all the things. And then I started considering that, and I thought, I can't hate men. Two of my most favorite men in the world are the creator and co-creator of Access Consciousness, Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here. And so I said, this is not working for me.
Yeah.
I can't do this. And so that was the beginning step of me being able to look at my fears, and of course I was facilitated by those two wonderful men. And I remember, like, in foundation there, and Gary Douglas, he would be like, you've got to be able to follow the energy.
Yeah.
Will this be easy? Will it be fun? Will I learn something? Will I be happier afterwards? Will they be a contribution?
Yeah.
And so I started using those questions when I would date. And it became clear to me that I wasn't really interested in marriage, but I wanted to have fun. And in a lot of places, that's considered a no. You're a bad no. You need to put a ring on it. You have to be married to this person. You can't just be fornicating with them. So I've had several, I can count on one hand, I guess, different men in my life that have been contributions, that it was wonderful until it was no longer a contribution.
Okay.
Gary Douglas says that if, relationship is two people to each other, but creationship is the joining of those two. And if you can create at least 20% more together, then it's a relationship worth considering. So that's a space I would be in. If the relationship wasn't contributing more, I wasn't interested. And my body is so psychic. It would just tell me this person is not aware enough for us. Move on, find somebody else that's going to contribute. And that's how basic relationships.
Okay, one difference in maybe US or maybe it's an Indian thing, I don't know whether it works there or not. We find it so difficult to move on. We're like, oh, I've invested 5 years or, like 5 months or I don't know. We've invested time, so we'd rather make it work rather than move away. So how do you do that? How do you create that great relationship that we require?
Well, you have to, one, be willing to choose it. But here's the key for me. The 5 elements of intimacy. Have you heard of those before? They're in the foundation class.
As long as
I'm sure you're familiar. Well, just for the listeners' sake, it's honor, trust, allowance, the big one, vulnerability, and gratitude.
Yes.
You can have those 5 things with yourself first, then you have a chance.
Out on. That's what we miss out on. That's what I want you to throw some light on that.
Okay, well, let me dive into it then. So honor. What do you do in your world to honor you? And it could be as simple things. Like for me, honoring me is I get in my hot tub every morning and I commune with Mother Earth. That is a no fail. If it's raining, I get in my hot tub inside my house that has the big window and I still commune with Mother Earth.
Wow.
And I don't have to be her inside to commune with her anyway, but that's an honoring of me. It's this creationship I have with the planet. And I do have the 5 elements of intimacy with her. So it's something you do that's kind for you, that's fun. So that's honoring. And then in a relationship, that would look like allowing your partner or your flatmate or your coworkers or your family, allowing them to create what is fun for them, regardless regardless if it's you or not. So that's the honoring piece. If someone's telling you can't do something because now you're with them, that's not honoring. It's dishonoring, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. The second one is trust. Okay, so trust is a big one. I can trust that the universe always has my back.
Yeah, trust is a big one. Yes, you're right. Trust is such a big one because we
Now,
doubt ourselves that we can't bring in trust, you know.
yeah, and the thing is we have a tendency to believe that if I'm with this person and they love me, that I can trust that they will never cheat
Yeah.
on me. That's
Oh,
blind faith.
yes.
That is not. And Gary makes it real simple. He said, it's knowing that your partner, if you're a woman and your partner's a man, that he's going to leave the toilet seat up. Just trust that and know that's what's going to happen. And if you're not willing to trust that, then you're closing a blind eye.
Absolutely.
No. So, and I, for myself, can trust that I will always have my back. I will never again, 99.9% of the time, cut my arms and legs off to fit into someone else's reality, you know. And I can sense a gator from miles away, which was what my husband was a master of, gaslighting, always telling me that I wasn't worth. Yeah, things like that. So, you know, then that, you know, that brings us to allowance. Can you be an allowance of your partner, the good, the bad, and the ugly? And, you know, can you be an allowance of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Oh,
You know,
yes.
sometimes you're going to be cranky pants. The thing about allowance is it's not about being a doormat. If somebody is gaslighting you, for example, you know, you can say, I'm sorry, this doesn't work for me.
Yep.
You know, moving on. So that's a beautiful one. You know, it's like the planet has so much allowance. We're destroying this planet with a lot of the things that we're doing, right? Does she have a point of view? No point of view at all.
At all. Yes.
So if we could be more like the planet in our allowance, you know, what could that create and generate for our lives? So don't choose it, people. Be happy in your suffering. Go ahead and try to make it work, even if it's not working. So
more ease in your world. That's why. So don't choose it. Yeah.
that's right. Please don't. You know, the last thing I'd want to do is see you happy. No, happiness is just a choice. So
I have this too.
this is my little yellow book called Choosing Happiness.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it speaks 3 languages, Portuguese, Spanish, and English, and it's getting translated into the Russians, which shocks me because I was certain that the Russians did not want to be happy. I had no idea. So we'll see what happens with that. So here we go. Yeah.
And gratitude and honor. No, so gratitude is one thing that you have to get mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, gratitude it starts with, can you be grateful for yourself? You know, if you think about what you're grateful for with yourself, what could it be? Like for me, I'm grateful that I can talk to entities and the elementals. I'm grateful that I have such a connection with Mother Earth. I'm grateful that I like sparkly, shiny things. I'm grateful.
And you can walk now.
Grateful to
being able to walk.
Oh my goddess. I'm so grateful for this body. Good job, body.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, against all odds, according to this reality, which is so funny to me. I'm grateful for my singing voice. I'm grateful that people will actually pay to listen to me sing.
Wow.
That's kind of incredible when it comes right down.
So we've not paid, but I'm sure this is going to reach out to a million. So we would love to hear you sing. But before that, one last question I want to ask you, that there are some people who, because they've seen other people's relationships, they fear that they're going to fail. They don't take action. What would you like to tell such people? What is it that they should be doing?
Oh, well, it's all choice. First, you've got to ask, am I actually willing to change this?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We use this light tool. And what's light for you is true. And what's heavy is not. So it's really a perception. So you ask the question, am I actually willing to change this? Oh my gosh, it's heavy. So the key to being able to change it is to acknowledge that perhaps you're not really willing to change it in those terms. And then, you know, hey, what would it take for me to be willing?
All right.
So once you're actually willing to be in the space of, hey, what would it take? Then you can begin to actualize it.
And,
And then the universe will show you, you know?
just letting go the fear of failure, basically. So how does it matter? I mean, did you know that you were going to, I mean, so-called in this reality, oh, your husband left you, so you're a failure. So what if that is not a failure?
Oh my goddess. I have to tell you something, which is so funny because it spurns a story that I remember. I remember one night before we got engaged. It was, I don't know, we were at I took him to an award show party because I was a film producer at the time. My ex was up for an award, for a music award. And so I brought him with me, and he's into astronomy, and he goes out and he's looking up at the sky and he's telling me, you know, about Cassiopeia and all the stars they align, and you know, to me it's astrology, to him it's astronomy. And he finally says, so do you think you could be happy with the same man for the rest of your life? And it was one of those things where I felt like I got shoved back into a tunnel of space and time. And I said, well, you know, the fantasy is that, yeah, I could find the one person and he would be the one, the perfect partner, and I would be happy with him for the rest of my life. You know, that's what we all want to believe. I said, but the truth is, so far I have not been with the same man for the rest of my life, because here I am. I've been engaged 3 times, never went through with it. Who knows? Maybe, you know, what did my body know? Did I really want to be married? And it hadn't happened yet. I said, so I guess I could be happily married until I'm not.
Yeah.
Those were the words that came out of my mouth. I mean, I look back on that now and it was like so telling. And that's already doing relationship differently. I was being totally honest with this guy. Hey, you know, that's the fantasy. The truth is this. Could I create it? I don't know. Let's see.
So it's being spontaneous with your life and spontaneous with your stuff that you're choosing is what you're saying, right?
Well, every 10 seconds. I mean, it's kind of like this. You've got to ask, will this be fun for me? And if you feel heavy, move on, you know?
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because the last 3 guys I dated, I'm still really fond of them, but we don't date anymore. We're just friends. We might go out and have a cocktail or something, and that's about it. You know, they're dating other people and we're still friends. Because why would you want to date somebody that you don't like, that you can't be friends with, you know? So, same with your husband. You want to like them.
That's so cool. So, okay, so what would you like to sing, you know? I mean, what gets your heart singing when you're in a very happy zone?
What gets my heart singing? My heart gets singing when I feel the heartbeat of Mother Earth. Wow. But that actually makes me cry a lot because it's so beautiful. I'm one of those people that cry at beauty, even a beautiful rainstorm. Have you ever stood outside naked in a rainstorm? Oh my goddess. It's so amazing. I mean, I have a very private backyard, so it's possible for me, you know, or a beautiful sunset on the water. And I sing a lot when I'm at the beach, actually.
So
now that I think be walking along.
Lines, you know, if you were to just sing and just present that, you know, you're an entertainer, I know that. But what would you like to sing, you know, today?
Well, you know, it's funny because I just sang this song recently. My mom loves, I love Aretha. I don't know if you know who she is. Do you know okay, she's a singer from the 50s and 60s that sang funk and R&B. She's a Black lady. And it's funny because my producer says I have a Black thing. And I said, you know what? I just have a good music thing. Yeah. And I'm not talking about like rap music, although I do rap as well. If you want to some of my, I write my own songs too. So if you go to rurocks.com, RUROCKS, those are all original songs.
.com, rurocks.com, and check her out because she's amazing, because I heard her. Just 2 lines if you could just present it, you know?
Sure. Well, you know what? I'm going to sing an Aretha Franklin song that's my mom's favorite song. And I'll just sing a little bit of it. But it's called Natural Woman. Okay? So here it goes.
Yeah.
Looking out on the pouring rain. Oh, I used to get so uninspired. And when I knew I had to face another day, love made me feel so tired. Before the day I met you, life was so unkind. You're the key to my peace of mind. 'Cause you make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman. So there you go.
So nice. You got a brilliant voice. You're gifted.
Oh, thank you. I don't sound anything like Aretha Franklin, but I'm not afraid. She's called the Queen of Soul here in America. And she passed away, I think, 3 years ago. I was brokenhearted because I really wanted to meet her. Her and Prince, because I love to sing Prince songs also. And he went up and died also. All these people avoiding me. I'll have to see them on the other side. I don't know. What else is possible?
No, but I would like that you live longer so that a lot of more people get inspired by the energy that you are. You're brilliant.
You're so kind. You're so kind. My body wants to live to be at least 500.
Yes.
It told me, and I was okay.
And how much could you be a contribution to the world? Why I mean, you just be here, you know? That's amazing.
You know, it's that thing about every 10 seconds. I don't know how I'm going to ever show up. And I just in that space of whatever shows up, and you know, whatever will be, will be. So this has been so much fun.
It's so much fun. You are
so much
just
fun.
brilliant. You're just brilliant. And people, if you would like to follow her or you would like to know more about her, we'll put her details there in Facebook. Thank you so much, Rüdrani Devi. I bow down to you because you're amazing. You're so good.
Oh, Kavita, thank you so much. I love this conversation and I adore you. Thank you so much for being an invitation.
I adore you too. Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.